In the previous lecture, we saw one of the attack related to social engineering toolkit. This lecture, we're going to see a more advanced attack, which will allow us to get full access to the Android device. So let's see how to do this. Let's go to the terminal and launch the social engineering toolkit. And choose number 1. Then we're going to choose the website attack vector, which is number 2, like previous one. 2. But this time we're going to use the Metasploit browser exploit method, which is number 2. And this will allow us to create a payload associated to the browser. So once the user click on the link, we're going to get a Meterpreter session on the victim machine. And I believe we explained the Meterpreter session in a previous lecture in this section. So let's see how it will be done. Then we're going to type number 2. And here, would you like this website that will include the payload? It will include this malicious code that will allow us to access Android to be from a web template or from a site cloner. So I'm going to choose a web template for simplicity. I'm going to choose any website. Are you going to do NAT or port forwarding? This will be done on a different lecture. And this will be needed in case you do that remotely. I mean, you are compromising an Android device that are not on the same network. You are doing that for someone somewhere else. In this attack, this is the basic attack, which we are doing this attack in someone on the same network. So here we're going to choose no, but later on I'm going to create a remote attack. And nothing will change, only some network setting need to be done. So we're going to do that in a separate lecture. What is the IP address that will be receives the connection? Because this is a reverse connection, so the victim will be connected to me. I will not be the one who connect to the victim. And this is actually to bypass any security. So in our case, our IP of the Kali Linux machine is 192.168.1.103. Which template would you like to have? Google, Java required? Let me have Google one more time. And here will be the payload that will be added to the fake website. So we're going to use here number 8 or number 9, which is the Java applet remote code execution. This will be a message that will give us a full access. I'm going to choose number 8 because it's more effective. You notice that most of them are Microsoft and Adobe. So only 8 and 9 are Java. And this list keep getting updated. I mean, maybe it will have a different number when you run these tools because they keep updating this list. Then, what do you need to have once you get the payload will be running? I need to have a Meterpreter session, which is number 2. A reverse Meterpreter, which means the victim will be connected to my machine. Because the opposite of reverse is the bind connection, which is my computer connect to the victim. And if the victim is behind the firewall or has any security software, this will be dropped. But when the victim will be connected back to me, most probably this will be successful. So I'm going to choose number 2. Then which port you will be using? I mean, you will receive a connection on your IP, which I just wrote 192.168.1.103, but you should specify the port as well. And by default, they are giving the port 443, which I suggest you keep the same, because this is the HTTPS port, and most people are familiar with using such port, so it will not be suspicious in any way. And as you can see, it's gonna take a few seconds, and it will be ready. What I need to send to the victim will be the IP of my machine with the port. So yeah, it will take a few seconds. I may need to pause for a few seconds until he finish. Yeah, no, it's done. It's almost there. So, yep. This is the IP that you need to send the victim, 192.168.1.103, which is your local IP with the port number, which is 443. If you are doing that to attack a remote Android device, you need to change this private IP with a public IP that I just explained on the previous lecture. But not to confuse you, we're going to do that right now in a simple way. And then later on, I'm going to show you how to do that remotely. So let's jump to our machine, and I prepared an email that will be sent to the victim. It could be an email or SMS. We're going to see how to manipulate SMS later on. And we're going to type the IP 192.168.1.103 colon 443. And I told you on the previous lecture that we can change that. We can choose any shortened website to change the link. Instead of having those bunch of numbers, it could be like a URL. And now let's go to the device. And let me open my email. Okay, let's go to my email. And let's see, refresh. Here you go. And let's see what will happen if we click on the email. Let's see here. As you can see, we are getting a Meterpreter session on the victim mobile, and we explain how to utilize those Meterpreter session. And by the way, you may notice that it will keep closing and opening another Meterpreter. This is normal. After a few times, it will be stable. So it's quite easy to keep trying that until you get a successful Meterpreter session. But you are getting the idea. And then you know how, using a Meterpreter session, you can get full access to the machine. This has been explained on the third or fourth lecture in this section. So once you get a Meterpreter session, you got a full access on the device. So what we did, we created a fake website or a website that include a payload, a malicious payload, and once the victim opens the website, we get a full access on the machine. It's different than the previous lecture where we just captured the username and password.